Go to Tottenham, mate.
Hey guys, welcome to another live show, another live She Knows Arsenal. Make sure you guys are liking the video and subscribing to the channel. And most importantly, getting into the chat and letting me know what you guys are thinking and feeling. Guys, I'm hungover. I overindulged in Tottenham tears. I've overindulged. I've done too much. So feeling good, feeling great. You guys want to see that clip again? Let me put it up again. I'll play it again one more time.
You go to Tottenham, mate.
As I was asked if he's going to Tottenham, and that was his facial expression. Give me a sec, because I feel like my internet is doing a madness. So give me 2 seconds. Give me 2 seconds. Let's see. It should stabilize in just a second. You guys know the drill if you're just joining. This is what happens over here. The internet always goes down right when I'm about to do my stream. All right, should be back now. But yeah, I am still over the moon. I'm floating still. I'm still basking in the ambience, and I've overdosed on Tottenham tears. I never thought signing Eze would feel this way. It feels so good. And I do want to, before we get into Rodgers and Fofana, kind of talk about some of the details around the deal that have been unveiled since yesterday, because the way that it was originally put out there by the media, your David Ornsteins and your Fabrizios, was that we essentially only really started trying to sign Eze once Kai Havertz got injured. And that kind of made sense in a way, because it was like, okay, well, Kai got injured, so we're just going to go out here and get Eze, which was a little bit of like, oh, well, I wish they would have done it earlier or done it without having to get an injury, but it is what it is. Yesterday evening, after the original reports had come out, it actually was unveiled by the Independent that Arsenal had basically agreed this deal on the 10th of August. And on the 10th of August was actually the day of the Community Shield. So that deal was pretty much set in stone back then, about 10 days sooner than to like what we found out yesterday. And the deal was mostly on it was basically Berta and Tim Lewis. Tim Lewis is actually really close to Parrish. So he was able to broker the deal with Steve Parrish, and Berta headed the deal, and it was actually agreed around the 10th instead of the 20-somethingth. So that's actually incredibly interesting, because everybody assumed that this deal had gotten done in a couple of hours, but we had already agreed pretty much the skeleton of the deal, and Tottenham waited. And it gets even funnier because Tottenham was stalling. I think they thought that they were alone in the deal. It was a one-horse race. Arsenal kept it very hush-hush. And so they started trying to add Richarlison to the deal, try to, finagle and get a lower deal. And then Palace told Tottenham that they wanted to for Eze to play in that qualifier, and that was going to stall the deal more, and only for us to come in yesterday and seal the deal, and for Eze not to be playing in that qualifier, because in the last hour it has been revealed that he will not be playing today for Crystal Palace. Which now getting more clarity essentially on Trossard is that the reason why Trossard is staying is not is it is connected to Kai. They were going to sell Trossard, but because Kai got injured, they decided to keep Trossard in order to just kind of like fill in for Kai. But the way things are actually unfolding is that we were going to get Eze no matter what. We just kept it quiet and essentially allowed Crystal Palace and Tottenham to kind of like get close to that deal being done. And it also probably had something to do with Josh Kroenke being in town and Berta and Tim Lewis being able to talk to him in person to get him to agree to release that additional funds to get Eze. Isn't that fucking crazy? That is crazy. When you actually really uncover how deep this was, Tottenham were never getting Eze. Eze was always coming to Arsenal. It was just a matter of, I think, Arsenal getting Josh in the building to explain to him why this was so important to release these funds. But Berta already had the deal agreed 10 days earlier. And so when Eze looked mystified and was looking sad and clapping the Crystal Palace fans and stuff at the end of the Community Shield, it wasn't because he was leaving to go to Tottenham. It's because he was essentially probably going to move to Arsenal. And it was just the case that Tottenham had kind of agreed the deal and Arsenal just came in and swooped in because they had already had it set. I think they just needed Josh to come in. And so Trossard and Havertz were connected, but Eze was always separate. And so essentially, what they said was true, that Eze had nothing to do with Madueke, didn't have anything to do with any other deal, and that Arsenal always wanted to do the deal, and it was separate, and Berta was just moving in silence all this time. That is so interesting, and also just for somebody like me that's increased and like very pessimistic and very distrustful of Arsenal, that makes me feel like I can trust Arsenal a lot more when it comes to situations where they need to bring in star quality, because essentially they did it, and they did it exactly the way that it was put out there. It was not connected to Madueke whatsoever. We got him separately. We spent over without having to sell, because we did not sell. We actually have now spent like 260 million without selling a single soul. And so Arsenal are actually pushing, and it probably was just the fact that Berta needed to sit down with Josh Kroenke and tell him why we needed to make sure that we brought in this player, and we did not just stop after Gyökeres. That makes a huge difference. The clarity of that, understanding of that is a game changer for Arsenal fans like me, who always feel like Arsenal stops short when we need to go that additional like sale, or that additional incoming. My mind is fucking blown. It didn't have anything to do with Havertz. Havertz is only going to be out for a couple of weeks. He did not tear his ACL. So Arsenal just decided to keep Trossard. Trossard is actually connected to Havertz, which is hilarious, you know. So obviously some of you guys have joined because you want to hear about Rodgers and you want to hear about Fofana, but I really wanted to make sure that we touched on this first, because this changes everything. This does mean that we are acting different. I think that there were signs that we were acting different with, you know, bringing in, you know, Mascara, and bringing in, you know, Kepa and Norgard, and doing those things quickly and cheaply, and being able to keep the Gyökeres fee down. But there was a huge kind of like thing missing with bringing in that additional player, that star quality, that player that we wouldn't have gotten a couple of, you know, summers ago. And they've done it. So it's, yeah, I mean, it is just, I love it. I actually think that that makes a lot of sense. And Trossard is connected to Havertz. If you actually read the full Gunner blog report, yes, it was agreed before, at the beginning of the transfer window, it was already agreed, but both Trossard and Arsenal were open to a sale throughout this summer window, which is why it wasn't agreed. And the only reason why Arsenal did the U-turn, despite Aston Villa being interested and Brentford being interested, it was because of Havertz. Trossard would be gone if Havertz wasn't injured. So it is connected. It's okay to say that Arsenal done the right thing, you know, because ultimately they've gotten Eze, and maybe they wouldn't have kept Trossard had Havertz gotten injured, but they've kept him now. So yeah, it is connected. We need sales. Get Martinelli, Zinchenko, Vieira, Lokonga out. Get Fofana from Lyon. We make movies. We're riding the Arsenal roller coaster every day. Yesterday, we're looking for blood. Now we're buzzing again. Love it. Yeah, it's Trossard probably would have gone had Havertz not gotten injured. But the clarity, like, that's why I really want people to focus on, is that there was a little bit of like a asterisk next to the Eze signing, because it seemed like it was only happening because Havertz had gotten injured, but that's not the case. We were going to do it regardless. Trossard was the U-turn, and it felt like a very quick U-turn. Remember, when we're talking about the Trossard situation, it was very shocking because we thought that he was, you know, just a couple of days ago, it was John Cross and, you know, several other people, Ben Jacobs, saying that it's very likely that Trossard will leave in this window, you know, so that was the real big turnaround. But the fact that they had agreed basically the structure of the deal with Crystal Palace on the 10th, the day of the Community Shield, just Berta really is moving in silence, and he is not like Edu. And I think right before the Eze situation and us turning that around and hijacking the deal, there was a lot of criticism around Berta and was he any different than Edu? But I don't think Edu gets this deal done, and Tim Lewis needed a win because, honey, I was on his cul-de-sac head top. I was on his head top because it always felt like there was somebody in the room not really understanding why we needed these players. And he actually was the one that went to Steve Parrish and, you know, advocated for us to get this deal done. So I want to give him credit as well. I'm still watching you, but good job. So how are you guys feeling about that? Before we get into the Rodgers and Fofana of it all, Andrea Bloodcart, Berta, this guy is, I mean, this is the only thing that would make this window better for me is if we got a winger, as well. But in terms of Arsenal windows, this is probably the best window that we've had in the Emirates era. It has to be. There hasn't been a window that's been as good as this. Obviously, we need some sales, but in terms of incomings, the amount that we've spent, yeah, it doesn't get much better than this. Let's see. It feels like we let Spurs do the negotiations, then jumped in with a slightly better deal, knowing Eze wanted to come to us. Exactly that. The Spurs element of it is that we let them do the negotiations, negotiate it down just enough for us to come in and say, okay, well, we know the player wants us and we'll offer just a little bit more. And then we also had the in through Tim Lewis with Steve Parrish. And I'm so sorry. If there's a club that we should be doing business with, sending our players there on loan and buying their players in the future, it's Crystal fucking Palace. It is. They are building something there where they have some players, especially like somebody like Wharton, that I'd be looking at in the future. And we have some players that we can shift on their way. Kivior might be sent the other direction, not with the Eze deal, but separately. We should be working with Crystal Palace. I would love to have a little relationship with them. Let's see. First it was Campbell, now it's Eze. I'm talking about the announcement video. Where is Hand of Arsenal to answer the question? About what? Because I'm not seeing. Let's see. Berta is a great chess player in strategy. Let's see. Any inside information about the plans for the announcement? I have no idea, but you guys know we had kind of brainstormed what it should look like, and we said Ian Wright should be a part of it. Sol Campbell in some way should be a part of it, and there needs to be an element of history repeats itself, coming home, showing him as a child, as an Arsenal, like a young kid in the academy, walking into the Emirates. Stop with the spoken word. We don't need that spoken word. That whatever the vibe was before, we did with Zubamendi and Gyökeres. No, this needs to be different. Get everybody involved. Call everyone. Get it done. I needed this signing more than you think. If Trossard is staying, so that means Martinelli will leave Arsenal. Samuel McBell said big name player will leave probably next summer. As it stands, I think it's safe to say we have the most balanced squad now. Is the Crystal Palace manager, Oliver Glasner, also a part of the deal? No. Great signing as Spurs, where has your future captain gone? It is just, I just wanted to touch on that because the learning more about the deal, it just shows how things can change. And maybe I don't need to, personally for me, be so worried about Arsenal always doing the wrong thing. Now, I do feel justified in feeling that way because in the past, we just have not done the right things. But with Berta in charge, I can have a little bit more faith because everything that they did was exactly what I was hoping that they would do. And so I'm over the moon. Like, I am over the moon. Let's see. Send them Zinchenko. Who do you think will sign next, Jess? Surely not Rodgers. I'd love him, but 80 million. No, we'll get into that in just a second. If Arteta flops, I want Glasner as well. Is it confirmed that Eze isn't playing tonight? I do believe it is confirmed by several different sources. I know that, Sky Sports are a little bit behind, but Ed Aarons had said it. I think kind of Arsenal have said it. So I don't think he's playing. And let me find it. So Oliver Glasner was asked if Eze will be in the stands to say his goodbye, and he said, "I don't even know if he will be here, but confirmed he won't play today." So it's actually confirmed right now that he will not feature tonight for Crystal Palace. That is coming from Sky Sports. That is coming from Oliver Glasner's mouth, which was probably the only thing that was making me a little nervous because I'm scared, was that he might get injured in this game. But that's got to hurt Spurs even more, that he's not even going to play in the game that they were thinking was going to keep them from getting the deal done quicker, because, he was going to play in that match, and Crystal Palace were adamant that he played in that match, and now he's not. Earth Extreme is putting the actual update up there, so I will read it for you guys. Oliver Glasner confirms Eze will not play for Crystal Palace tonight against Fredrikstad in the UEFA Conference League playoff, with Ford set to join Arsenal. It is amazing. The vibes are sick. Hey, Jess, where did you see the Morgan Rogers news? So the Morgan Rogers news, I saw that on Sky Sports. And this is obviously, we were linked to him before. And this just came out this morning. So let me find it. Now, Spurs are also interested in him, which kind of makes sense because they've missed out on Eze now. But we were linked to him earlier on in the window, and BBC said Arsenal are weighing up an offer for Morgan Rogers, but Aston Villa have set a high price for their midfielder. Let's see. Arsenal are weighing up a move for Aston Villa midfielder Morgan Rogers per ESPN. And also Sky Sports said, not content with the signing of Eze, Arsenal are weighing up a move for Aston Villa's Morgan Rogers. Now, I don't know how real this is or not, but when you sign Eze kind of out of nowhere, I'm starting to think, why not? Why not? It's going to be a super expensive deal. And I feel like the only way that this gets done if maybe Martinelli goes. And I feel like that's something that maybe could be on the cards. I know earlier on in the window, they were saying that Martinelli would not go. But if someone were to come in last minute for Martinelli, maybe we do make a move for another player. Maybe it's not Morgan Rogers. Maybe it's Malick Fofana. I would love to see us bring in one more player. I think Arsenal still need one more player, just to be a little bit greedy for once. Obviously Eze solves so much, but you bring in one more player and all of a sudden I really think that we're the best team on paper, if not just right behind Liverpool. So, yeah, if somebody comes in for Martinelli, like Kishare is saying, Saudi offering 70 million for Martinelli. If Saudi does come in for Martinelli, or somebody else comes in for Martinelli, maybe we do, bring in someone. Will it be Morgan Rogers? I don't think so, but knowing Berta now, anything can happen. I mean, it would cost a lot, but is he worth it? Probably. But yeah. Well said, Jess. It just goes to show Spurs were not a threat to Arsenal in the transfer window, referring to Crystal Palace stalling the so-called deal to Spurs. 70 million, pack those bags, Nelly. Now just bring me Rodrigo and Fofana and sell Deadwood, and it's 13 out of 10 window. Yeah, we can't write anything off. I mean, I just feel like there could be another player in if somebody goes or something like that. We're also being linked to Malick Fofana, and I do want to talk about that too. And I want to hear your guys' comments because I'm going to go through comments in just a sec. But supposedly tier 1 journalist for Lyon is saying that Arsenal are prepared to bring in Fofana at the end of this window. Malick Fofana is a young winger that plays for Lyon, and I love this player personally. I love this player. I know some people, um, you know, would prefer a bigger name, but to me, this is the type of player that you bring in and everybody is, why didn't we go for him? They got him for a snip. To me, he's not the same level of prestige as Turkey, but I feel like he's in that same, like, oh my gosh, they got him for 35 million because that's the quoted fee. And we could definitely get that with sales. Arsenal and Bayern have Malick Fofana on their short list for the final days of the window. Arsenal have added Lyon's Malick Fofana 20 to their short list and could make a move for the 40 million rated forward in the final days of the window. Um, He's just everything you would want in a winger. He doesn't have the experience yet at the highest level, but in terms of, kind of all the things that you're looking for, X factor, 1v1 prowess, being able to beat your man, he's quick, he can play on both sides as well. If you could switch your winger options from being essentially Saka, Martinelli, and Trossard to your new wing options being Saka, Madueke, Eze, who can also play in other positions, and Fofana, you have completely changed the game in terms of how people will view Arsenal as a threat going forward. We're starting to talk about having a complement of wingers and or forwards that rival the best groups of forwards in the world. And I feel like that's what Arsenal need to be looking to do. No offense to Martinelli, but I just feel like we need to move in a different direction. Um, and Fofana would be perfect. He would be absolutely perfect. And also, if you want the, MABA, make Arsenal black again, you're doing more of that, So he just has it. I'll pull up some of his like stats and stuff if I can find them because I'm seeing some floating around on socials. But I have one more in me. I have one more in me. Don Berta, if you view us worthy, please bring us in a winger. 10 out of 10 window. It's already so close. Like if the window closed right now and we didn't see any more incomings, you would not hear a thing from me. But if I can ask you just this favor one more time, I just love this player so much, and I just feel like people are saying he could be like a Doué type signing for us. It would just be so lit. Eze, Fofana, Saka, Madueke, Gyökeres, Trossard as like the kind of like all kind of can fit in any other position. Havertz coming back after he's injured. If you guys still have the fantasy about Jesus, we're talking about an elite forward group, and we need that. We can't let him go to another Prem team. I'm so glad we got Eze, and I hope he can deliver for us. Hi, Jess. Hello to you as well. Fofana left wing, and we will cook. Woo! The 35 million, I just don't think you can afford to allow somebody else to get that. I just don't. I really do think that you need to go get it, sell Fabio Vieira and bring him in. And maybe that's why we're looking at him, is because we know that we're going to sell Fabio Vieira. Ornstein spoke about Fabio leaving, and he's very much so still on the cards for Stuttgart. They're just trying to figure out the fee. Maybe we feel confident bringing him in and moving Martinelli on later. I don't know, especially because we know that Jesus and Kai will be out for a little bit. I don't know. I don't care. Bring. Wave cap is crazy. Let's see. Jess, smiling, laughing. Bring him here. Let's be greedy for once. And I'm with Cold Sense 06. Be greedy for once. Have more than you need for once. Make Martinelli feel like he needs to make a move in January if he's still here. Make him uncomfortable. Right now, I feel like the walls are closing in on Martinelli as it is. Before Even we got Eze, I felt like it looked dark for him. It did, because I'm like, as even if Madueke is not the perfect option, Arteta's playing him there. He's open to playing him in your position. Trossard is no mug. He's not somebody that I watch way too much. Like, I talk to too many British people and I watch too much like British programming, because why am I saying mug right now? Like, please. But he's he's not a bum. He's not a bum. Seriously. Trossard is somebody that if he's staying, he's gonna expect to play games. The walls are closing in on you. Eze, freaking Eze, Trossard, Madueke, the walls are closing in. If you bring in Fofana as well, it's dark. And I feel like sometimes like that's what you need to do to a player to get them to realize that they need to tell their agent to find somewhere for you to go. You know? It's a World Cup year. Looking dark. Um, make Martinelli backup 9 for Gyökeres. I rate Trossard more than Martinelli. If Fofana comes, it's like City getting a replacement for Grealish before Grealish left for Everton on loan. Exactly. Sometimes you just have to bring somebody in and just maybe you don't have to tell them, but you just need to show them with actions like we're moving beyond you. Um, you know? As I wanted to play today, it was the club decision apparently. And I feel like he would want to play. I think Eze has immense respect for Crystal Palace, giving him his chance to build a resume in the Premier League. And I think he feels like he owes everything to Crystal Palace. And so I would imagine he wanted to play, but ultimately, I don't think Crystal Palace or Arsenal want to risk him potentially getting injured and not getting that money, because Crystal Palace are already talking to other people. They're if you know what I mean? So if there was a potential injury that would keep Arsenal from getting him, then they would also be out of basically their best player for a certain amount of time. I just don't think that they could risk it. And the whole him playing in the Conference League was probably a farce just to delay the deal for Arsenal to come in. He was probably never going to play that game. Good thing Eze isn't playing today, though. Done more than enough for them, more or less. Had a farewell, especially after the Wembley trips, and at least he's there today to say farewell. Exactly. When you look at the likes of Isak, the way Eze has gone about this has been so respectful. He deserves the best. Not even just people have been saying, like, look at Isak, look at the way he's doing stuff. Even Wissa, I think he's acted ugly as well, to try to get his move to Newcastle. But the way West Ham fans acted about Declan Rice when he did absolutely nothing but respect the club, he didn't like go out into the media, he didn't delete West Ham from his socials, he didn't stop playing for them. He literally helped you win your first trophy and who fucking knows when, and then left. And oh, by the way, you got 100 million for him because he didn't try to, he helped you guys get as much money as possible for a player of his level. They villainized him and he didn't act anywhere like, like Isak or Wissa or any of these players. So yeah, they kind of need to like shut up. Oh, and I will talk about Gyökeres because the difference between Isak and Gyökeres is that Gyökeres had a gentleman's agreement, a well-known gentleman's agreement that was agreed upon between him and Sporting, and they reneged on it. And so the reason why he ended up going to Arsenal for the agreed upon gentleman's agreement was because it was there to begin with, and they were just being assholes. Isak didn't have a gentleman's agreement. He signed a new deal and knew that he had like 3 years left on his deal and is acting an ass now because Liverpool twerked for him for a couple seconds. Like, it's not the same. So, yeah, Gyökeres is different, and everybody knows that. And I know that people want to try to make it seem like, it was the exact same thing, but we all know it's not the same thing. He had an agreement. They didn't stick to it. We all know that. Isak is acting an ass. Like, it's just that simple. So Liverpool fans in the comments that are, feeling some type of way about it, I mean, you guys didn't like the way Trent acted and he ran his deal down. So I really don't want to hear about you guys. Oh, well, Isak, he's just da, 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 da. You guys, out of everyone, can't say anything the way that you treated one of your own when all he did was run his deal down and now you guys call him a rat. Enough. No. Isak literally has zero power. He thinks he can toy with a Saudi club. Like, yeah, no. No. I still think we should have signed Tammy Abraham when we had Jesus and Mohamed El Neni. We would have had a trio of Jesus, Abraham, and Mohamed. Let's see, gentlemen's agreements are not for football. They're for council estates I grew up on. I think after this window, especially what happened with Sesko and Gyökeres, who both had well-known gentlemen's agreements, unlike Isak, I think players will think twice and make sure that they have release clauses and, that kind of stuff in there, because you cannot trust the club. And in both ways, I feel like it goes both ways where players have the right to stay when they have a contract and they should not feel obligated to leave the club just because the club wants you to leave. I think the club is within their rights to do things in order to try to encourage you to leave, not giving you playing time, buying players in your place and stuff like that. But they cannot force you to go because you have a contract. And in the same respect, the club is not obligated to sell you because you want to go. You have a contract. And so these gentlemen's agreements, although I understand why, Gyökeres felt the way that he felt, and I do think that he was justified, just like Sesko, that they had these, overall agreements with the club. A handshake is not sufficient enough, and agents need to be more bullish about release clauses and also signing shorter contracts in order to make it easier for their players to get out. Like Saka's agent is very smart because he's probably, only going to sign when he signs his new deal a 3+1, instead of signing these 6-year long deals and stuff like that, because it's easier to get out. So, in the end of the day, it goes both ways. And gentlemen's agreements don't work, but ultimately when you shake on it, you're only as good as your word. And I think clubs, they'll obviously do what's best for them, but I don't feel bad for Sporting for looking like an ass. I really don't. Crystal Palace is the London club we should be building a relationship with, not Chelsea, especially since Arsenal like to be risk adverse. Saida, you're absolutely correct. I said that earlier. Crystal Palace needs to be the club that we're building a relationship with. They are, first of all, I just like them. We talked about like what clubs are like kind of like second clubs or clubs that we like. And now that Brentford is in the dust, we will be shifting all of our attention over to Crystal Palace. They're likable. They have a good coach. They have good players. We should be building a relationship with Crystal Palace. And I think if Tim Lewis has a relationship with Steve Parish, then ultimately there will be a relationship formed there, over time. Does your neighbor's dog just go on all damn day or only when you're streaming? I think she can sense when I'm streaming. She quite literally hates me, so I don't know, but my puppies are quiet. I don't know where they are, or he's right there. One of them is right there. I don't know if you guys can see him there. Sleep. So not my dogs. If we don't sign Fofana, it'll be just like Due, and we'll be all wondering why we didn't sign him for under only 35 million. It just makes so much sense for us to go get him. Even if he's, even if it feels like too much, it will force Martinelli to find somewhere else to be. He's probably just too comfortable. I think before Eze, he probably still felt like, well, I'm probably safe, but you're not safe anymore. You're not safe. What do you guys say? You're not even safe in your own ends. Like, it's the walls are closing in on you. One more signing and it's done. And Fofana, Madueke, Eze, Saka is a disgusting amount of talent in wing positions. We also know Eze can play other positions. We get that. But I think that's what we need to be looking towards. And Trossard, he's so important. Obviously we could have let him go. But in terms of if you need goals, the person I think of first is probably Trossard off the bench. I'm not going to be thinking about Martinelli as goals off the bench. So, let's see. Have you recovered from yesterday? I have not. Seeing Spurs fans have meltdowns was a glorious watch. You have no idea. No, I'm still drunk. I am drunk on Spurs tears. I mean, the existential crisis some of them are going through. I mean, this is going to traumatize them. This is going to traumatize them. They thought they had one up on us, and it's so dark for them. The fact that they know now that they were never getting Eze, it's not even just like, oh, we swooped in and we stalled on it. He was never going to you. He always knew Arsenal was going to come and swoop in at the last minute. That's crazy. It's just, yeah. Did you guys see the quotes about Eze saying, calling his teammates? I think when he means calling his teammates, he was talking to probably Saka and Declan, asking, is Arsenal there? Does Arteta want me? You guys understand the tears? Like, when the announcement comes, I will be inconsolable. I love a Disney story. I love it. I'm an Arsenal fan through and through. I love my sentimentality, especially when it means we're getting a bula. Let's go. So, yeah, but they're dying. Like, they are dying inside. They are hurt. I watched everybody. I watched Expressions this morning. I watched Tobes. He put out 2 videos, one instant reaction and one earlier today. I watched the little bit of DR Sports where they went in on Abby. I watched Matisse. I watched KG. I watched Flex. I watched those 2 weird looking twins that are Tottenham fans. Are they twins? I don't know. They look like it. Who else did I watch? I watched Jords. I watched everything. I watched it all. Like, I am still hungover. Let's see. As I definitely had a little tear in his eye when his agent told him that he's coming to the carpet. Woo! Amazing. Expressions, Tobes. Yep, I watched all of them. I watched Sava as well. Tobe said, God is taking the piss. I mean, when he said, we're not bridesmaids, we're whores. Oh my gosh. I thought I was going to die. Why is it always Tottenham? Why is it always Tottenham? Why is it always have to be us? When they said, what did he say? Why with Dybala? Why wasn't it signed? Why with Matinho? Why wasn't it signed? It was just like, damn, they've really gone through so much. That is crazy. Oh man. No, it wasn't Tobes and Tosin. It was they're not black. They're white. And they look like twins. I don't know if they are. We Are Tottenham TV, maybe. I don't know. I watched them. Let's see. I feel so happy for Eze to finally get his dream come true. Yeah, man. I mean, it's a lot, you know. I'm so happy. Let's go get Savinho just to rub the salt in the wound. Now, I would say let's go do this, but we already know the score. Man City are not going to sell us any more players. They hate us down. I don't know what happened behind the scenes. I'm pretty sure something happened behind the scenes. I think it's the same reason why Newcastle hate us so much and why we'll probably never get a Newcastle player, really. But the relationship between Man City and Arsenal is severed. I think part of it is we closed the gap on them. And then with players that because essentially when they sold us Jesus and Zinchenko, I think they assumed that we were still going to finish 4th, and we ended up taking them really close to the title with those 2 players. And so I think from there they had kind of like decided like, oh, we're not gonna sell maybe to them anymore. And then something happened behind the scenes between Arsenal and the clubs that are state backed. And so they're not going to sell a Savinho. If they would, I would say, let's go get him. He'd be great for the wings for us as well. But if you could not spend 70 million on Savinho and spend 35 million on Malick Fofana, why wouldn't you just do that? Let's get somebody that doesn't have any connection with a rival. Let's get somebody that's not marked up by 40%. Let's get somebody that doesn't have a stink on them already. We've seen that most of the players that we've bought that have some sort of connection with a legitimate rival have not maybe they've not filled they don't have the thing, like it's something is missing. And let's get somebody fresh. Let's do that. I want Malick Fofana. I want him too. Like, I think that he'd be perfect for us. He's young, for people that need young. He's really talented. He plays on both sides. He's fast. He's tricky. He can beat his man. He lifts his head up. He's great. Eze is such an exciting signing. He can literally bench anyone in that attack except maybe Gyökeres. He can. And it's so good for us because not only can we just play in different ways, but it is going to require players that play on the wing and players that play in the 8 to be ready to play. No more starters versus bench players. No more first name on the team sheet. None of that. Eze is going to give us the first. I feel like he's the first player that we're going to bring in an attack that's actually going to cause problems for the starters, genuine problems. So let's go. At least Eze isn't playing today. Exactly. I love that. For those of you guys who are just joining that are not aware, Eze is not going to play today. It's been announced by Glasner from the horse's mouth, essentially. So he's not going to play today, which is A1. The Morgan Rogers links came from Sky Sports, ESPN, I think The Sun as well. So not the most reliable, but also anything can happen now. You get Eze, you hijack Eze, anything can happen. But we're also linked with Malick Fofana, which is probably the more tangible and probably the more profile perfect fit. I think once you get in Eze, you don't really need Rogers so much, but we still need a winger. We'll still need to bring in the winger. Someone said in the chat, why are we hyping Eze, who scored 34 goals in 5 years? If he was signed by City, Chelsea, or Liverpool, people would have called him world-class player. I don't give a shit what anybody else thinks. I know what kind of player we bought. I do not need validation from rivals, but I watched, I watched the rival videos yesterday, and not just Arsenal videos and Tottenham videos. I watched Matisse, I watched Flex, I watched KG. They were more upset about Tottenham. It wasn't just they were more upset that Tottenham fucked it because they knew that Eze coming to Arsenal is different. It means more. So it's not just about Disney fairy tales and, oh, he's a good player. It's the weight of this signing is much more than anybody could, like, it can't be quantified. This type of player brings Arsenal from just an idea as a title contender. We're putting them there because they were there for the last 3 years, but they're putting us there because our attack now looks so much more different with a player of his quality. So I don't care I know what we have. Like, we don't need to justify it. It's not really about the amount of goals that he scored. Remember, out with Glasner was not here before under Roy Hodgson and managers like that. Crystal Palace were very much so, like, securely in the bottom half. So it's not like he was playing with the team that he has right now with Crystal Palace. Him and Olise for a long time were just holding that team together with vibes in a 2-man step. I'm not trying to hear all that. I'm not listening. Don't need external validation for this player. They are shook. And you know it, so they were so mad at Spurs for getting this wrong, because Eze going to Spurs is not the same thing as Eze going to Arsenal. They know we're one player away. We are one player away in attack from being right there. And that's why I'm saying just get another one too, just to be greedy, just to make sure that they can't deny it at all. Just be greedy for once. Just do it. I agree with you, Jess. We don't need validation from rivals. Some rival fans, not all, are disingenuous, which We know that, so Liverpool fans definitely pissed Frimpong is injured. Now, I know that they said that Connor Bradley is back in training, so we'll see what happens because we're talking about next week. But you're either going to get a rusty Connor Bradley or you're going to get a Soboslai at right back. Either way, Eze is probably going to play that game. Woo! Let's really get into it. They were saying we need to sell to buy. That was a load of waffle. Yeah, but that's why I feel like so many of us were disappointed was because we know that the money is there. We know that Arsenal could have spent that additional 60 million and they went on and did it. But all that sell to buy nonsense, we don't need to sell to buy. All those Arsenal fans that were sitting there being like, well, we need to sell. We spent 200 million. What do you think? We can just keep spending? Yes. Yes, we can keep spending. Why do you guys think Arsenal are broke? Arsenal are not broke. The limitations of Arsenal lie solely with KSE. If they want us to have the money, they will give it to us. If they want to spend more, they will. We are so far and clear in PSR that we do not need to be worried about spending an additional 60 million. They were bragging about sales. They were bragging about, or not sales, but like commercial revenue and how much we made because we were in Champions League and all this kind of stuff, bragging about PSR headroom. We could always have spent this money, and I'm so glad they did because there was no reason why they couldn't. Y'all need to stop thinking we're broke. Arsenal are not broke. We are not broke. We're bad at selling, but we're not broke at all. People forget that we went windows spending peanuts, right? The funniest thing is seeing how some of the fraud Arsenal fans switched up yesterday after saying, oh, is Eze even good enough? Blah, blah, blah. We don't need him, blah, blah, blah. It was cope. It was cope. Like, of course we needed Eze. We needed another player in attack, whether it was a winger or whatever, that adds X factor. And now we need this player. Eze is a fabulous player. He just, did you guys watch? I know you guys watched at least 3 or 4 comps. I retweeted the comp that it's a 6-minute comp on Twitter, and the song is So Appalled. First of all, there was a time in my life where I was a huge Kanye West fan. Obviously, I had to let him go. But that song, So Appalled, with Kanye and Jay-Z and Pusha on it, and that comp, goosebumps. Please go watch it. Please go watch it. I know you guys watch the comps. That player he is an Arsene Wenger player. The flair is there. The X factor, the audacity, all of that is there. We know what we're buying. Jess, you think there are any chances for Reece Nelson to be kept at Arsenal this season? No, I think even if he doesn't get sold, he'll go on a loan for sure. The trouble with some fans is they only have one mode, banter mode. It's kind of all they got. There's no genuine conversation available there. Yeah, I think that's why I like Judge Bo's show, because we get the banter going for sure. And I love bantering Dawn. I love, bantering Hussam and stuff like that. But at the core of it, we have genuine conversations around each club. And there's an element of respect there as well, where we may banter certain players, but ultimately we know all of our teams are good. So, it's hard to find those conversations though, because so many people, like you said, are just only invested in banter and they're never honest. And so you have to find the content where you can get it. It's very few and far between, but when it's there, it's good. Let's see. Surely there's no way we get Rodgers. Anything is possible when you have Berta. Listen, I don't think we'll get him, but we got links this morning, so I wanted to talk about it, and especially because there was also links earlier on in the window saying that we wanted him. But I think the more viable link is probably Malick Fofana. Yeah, man. I'm so moved by this Eze transfer that now I just feel anything is possible now. Last nine days of the window, why not? Why not? I haven't even really thought about Rodrigo. I'm so moved by this. I really don't care. Would I like Rodrigo? Yes, but I would fully take Malick Fofana and go about my merry way. On my merry way. So so yeah. Let what else are you guys saying? Need more goals or I just lost it. Need more goals on the pitch for sure. Um, whoa, Jess. Whoa, what? I don't understand the Nani signing though when you have Saka, Wanyeri, and Dowman. Let's talk about Nani. Or I just saw my internet went down. Damn it. You guys know I got to give it a second to do its thing. I think I'm back though. It just went down for a second. But Nani, this signing was really good for him because the pressure on him to be our end all be all was a lot for a player that I think is going to need time. So yeah, Nani doesn't look as bad now as the third signing, which we were saying. If you get Eze and Gyökeres and Madueke as the third signing, it's fine. But as the two level raisers, he just is not a part of that group. No matter how much copium, how much, oh, Nani, you guys just hate him, da 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 da. No. It just wasn't giving what it needed to give. I think he'll probably be fine for us. But, it looks a lot better with him coming in on the right or having a role to play on the left, but not one of the main kind of guys, So now he's like Kashai is saying, he's a bonus signing and it looks a lot better for it. Now, I know people are like, we didn't need him at all because, we have Ethan and we have Dowman now, but Dowman still is 15. So we kind of have to take that into consideration that he's still 15 and Ethan is definitely going to be playing midfield this season. So he's not going to be he's not going to be a Saka backup anymore. So there's more than enough room for Noni as an option, but he was never a level raiser and we didn't need to pretend like he was. So let's just see how he gets on. If we sign Fofana, then he would be a bonus signing. If we got Fofana and somehow we moved on Martinelli, woo, baby, I'll be a happy girl. I'm already a happy girl, but whew, we can't rely on youngsters to come in and perform. I think people think that Dowman should be a lot more involved than I feel like he should be, but that's just me. Because I love Dowman. I think he's going to be great, but I still think it's a little early for us to be like, yeah, he needs to be playing all these minutes. Like, care about cup minutes, and let's see where we go from there. Let's see. Having Noni means Saka doesn't have to start every league game. The penny pinching tag has now been given to Daniel Levy. We had that tag. I believe our bench would look more assuring now. As a Man United fan looking in, I think you need a proper left wing and a proper left back. Skelly is great, but he's naturally a CM. We still probably we need a left wing. I think Eze puts a little band-aid over that, and his just general brilliance is going to make it less of an alarm. But of course, the left wing still needs to come in. Martinelli needs to be replaced, like definitively in this team. And so, yeah, like that's I think where the Fofana links probably come in, as a left winger to maybe replace Martinelli. So I agree with you there. On left back, it's something that maybe down the line, but to me, it's not that important today because as much as I know people have written him off because of his injuries, Calafiori. I know he's a natural center back, but as a left back, he is something else. So with Miles Lewis Skelly, Calafiori, plus we know Timber can play over there, we're probably fine for this season, but long term, getting a natural left back is definitely something Arsenal should be looking at. But I think we can get by this summer without it. I have to apologize to Hold That. Hold That. Where is Hold That? I haven't even seen Hold That today. I also haven't seen Dio. Dio, if you're in the chat, show your face. But some people I feel like deserve maybe an apology. Some people maybe not so much. So let's see. What specific quality Eze doesn't have that makes him bad as a left wing? I'll be honest, I feel like some people are overthinking and playing left wing. We were talking about this on Mo's channel, but I just think that there's like this element you need to be listed as a left wing to play out there. And when we live in a world where center midfielders play at left back and, you know, number 10s have been playing wing for a million years. He's a wing fielder. We know that. We've played with wing fielders before. It's just a matter of if Arteta can get the tactics right to get him more central. But I just don't see a world where he can't play on the wing and be successful for Arsenal. People literally watched him delete Reece James the other day playing out on the touchline. I just feel like people are overthinking it. He's probably better centrally, but I think no matter what position he plays in, whether it's wing or the number 10 or left center mid, he's always going to do his best work coming central, and you can get to central positions and not be listed centrally. But that's just how I look at football. I don't think of it as strict positions. I think a lot of it has to do with tactics. I think different players with different types of qualities can play in the same position and still be listed as wingers, whatever. So that's just me. But, some people need you to be listed as a winger to play on the wing. And I understand that. Let's see. Let's add, not that. Let's add this. Why is this not showing? There it is. Okay. I go it. All right. So do you guys see? I don't know if you guys can see this super good, but this is from Billy Carpenter. And Billy Carpenter, let me put this comment down. Maybe that'll help too. Let's see. This is from Billy Carpenter, and he basically, it's like sketching as like on the wing, essentially, like where he will be in first phase, second phase, advanced, and in a 4-4-2 block, like when we're defending, when we're building up, blah, blah, blah. And I think this, first of all, Eze and Calafiori on the same side is going to eat down. But I think this gives you a better idea of like where he will be, where he'll exist. And Eze is just not the type of person that I think he's going to struggle on the touchline. You don't want him there all the time, but he just kind of feels like the type of player that can figure out how to get past his man, how to get us up the pitch. He does it for Crystal Palace all the time. And his heat map, and I know people don't probably need it to see it, but his heat map really does exist on the left-hand side. He is a left half space person, whether he plays in the 10 or left wing. So this is where he'll probably be. Remember when I told you guys in the 4-4-2, or not 4-4-2, but 4-2-2-2, I still think that there's somewhere where we'll see Eze coming in almost like a second 10 with Odegaard, and then Saka and Gyökeres the highest in the 4-2-2-2, which will allow Rice to play more in a double pivot next to Zubimendi. So let's see how things unfold, but this will give you kind of a look-see into where he will be. And I want to find, I don't know if I lost it or not or whatever, but there is a heat map where you see where Eze plays most of his football, and most of it is in the left half space, which when you look in the third graph, not at the third pitch in possession, he is in the left half space. He is in the left half space. Like that's where he does his best work. So we'll see how it goes, but watch his comps and where he picks up the ball and where he does his work. Obviously, we want him to be able to come central and do his thing, but the left half space is not a space where he's unfamiliar at all. I still hate Tim Lewis just a little bit now. That clip where they asked Eze when he is coming to Tottenham and he looked pissed at the question had me laughing at this delusional bunch. Jess, I was thinking Rice was our most important signing of the Emirates era. It might be Eze. Eze in the left half space. I can't wait. I can't believe we still got this deal. Berta a few months in, cult hero already. I wouldn't mind Garnacho as well. Hold your horses. Not too much. We do not need a Garnacho at all. I know we're like high right now, but not too much. That was a horrible accent, Jess. What accent? What accent did I do? I forgot. It probably was terrible. Y'all still need a winger? Well, I've got something for you. Talking about Fofana there. Samir Nasri also played on the wings. Bernardo Silva played as a right winger and midfielder to help Man City play to win the Premier League. So you don't always have to be a winger to play on the wing, but the tactics have to change to get you more central. And obviously, maybe you're not going to be, but Eze has all the capabilities to beat his man as well, where maybe Bernardo Silva isn't that good at it, so I don't think we need to worry about it too much. And obviously, he'll play a role centrally in the 8/10. He's just such a versatile player for us and he just solves so many problems for us. So, yeah. Bring me Hoyland on loan to end the window. Are you okay? Now I know you are trolling. I know you are trolling. You guys are just naming the most shit players you possibly can to rattle me. I know you. I know what you're doing. I know what you're up to. Let me see if I can find that heat map really quick. Because if I can, I'll show that to you guys as well. Just to illustrate my point a little bit further. Because that left-hand side needs help, child. It needs so much help. It cannot exist in the way that it exists now. It's just so below par. It's the opposite of eating down. It is not eating at all. If I can find it, I'll show it to you. Otherwise, if I find it later, I'll just retweet it. Because I know most of you guys are following me. If you're not, follow me at Jessica Black TV. Where did I see it? Let me think. As in, I see if I can find it. Give me 2 secs. These are his heat maps. This isn't exactly what I was looking at, but I'll show this to you anyway. Okay, so this is one of them, but there's more. This was his heat map from last season. Let's see. This is his heat map, guys. Like, do you guys not see where he's playing? Like, this is what I'm saying when I get it that he can play central and he will play central for us in some ways, but his heat map is literally on the left. Like, that's where he does his best work. So, yeah, I think, and here's the thing, it's our right-hand side could use some work in some ways, but our left-hand side literally does not work at all. So before we do anything on the right, we need to look at the left. And, when somebody especially like if we're trying to break down deep blocks, you probably are going to want to see maybe 2 creative midfielders in 1-6. And you can do that with Eze. And then also he can just play left wing. There's so much we can do, but his heat maps definitely tell a story of a player that tends to play in the left half space, which is kind of what we need. Because I'm sorry, guys, this is Martinelli. That left-hand side is dead. It's just doesn't work. Let's let's see. This is Tottenham fans trying to cope. Yeah, this is a season heat map. I'll make it bigger for y'all. That's his heat map. So, Calafiore Eze will make movies. Not Eze. He's a 10 who will be shit at left wing. No, he won't. Eze brings balance as he starts off on the left and he cuts in central while Odegaard does the same from the right. They would actually complement each other. They would complement each other. And then you can also try out the Rice on the right and Eze on the left, to give Rice a different look. Because I think although like Rice is fine on the left, there's also, an argument to say that if he played on the right, he would be able to find those passes maybe a little bit better because he wouldn't have to try to switch it onto his right and then the door closes on him. It would be more of a natural fit for him. So it just opens up so many opportunities for us. And Arsenal perspective, this is Eze's heat map from last season. So this is kind of the spaces that he likes to be in. And that doesn't mean that he can't play somewhere else, but the left-hand side needs so much work that I really want to see him at left wing and or left center mid or in I just need to see that left-hand side looking more normal. Eze will be solid at left wing and even better at left center mid. It's a win no matter how you cut it. I agree. Zubi, Eze, Odegaard against mid and deep blocks. It just opens up so many options. Which I feel like some people they're so locked in on he needs to play the 10. So that means that Odegaard needs to come out. Odegaard can be replaced by Eze in certain circumstances, and you will see times where maybe it's Eze, Rice, and Zubi. But when you're going up against a deep block, it probably makes more sense for it to be Odegaard, Eze, and 1-6. No matter how you feel about Odegaard, you need more creativity, and Rice doesn't really offer creativity. So, yeah, it probably make more sense it just gives you options. And having 4 really, really good midfielders opens up so many doors for us. And I wanted us to be in a situation more similar to Liverpool's because they're obviously like the standard right now. They have Soboslai, Wirtz, Gravenberch, and McAllister, so they can do different things. Obviously, they have Curtis Jones and other players, but those are like their core 4. We now have a core 4. And instead of thinking so much about who's benched and who's never going to play again, I think it's more useful and probably more in Arteta's thinking. How can we do different things to hurt different opponents? And so now we have those options. We didn't have those options before. I'm sorry, Marino is just not ever going to be an option in midfield where you're going to be looking at him saying, well, he'll probably be a better option than Rice. You're never going to say that. You're probably never going to say Norgard would be a better option than Zubi, so yeah, Wirtz's kneecaps are getting taken by Joe Linton on Monday. We will have the best number 10 in the league. Arsenal and with Eze are going to win the Prem and more watch out worldwide teams. If we sign Rodgers as well, the interchange between him and Eze will bamboozle defenses. They don't know who to cover and who to step on. Yeah, I mean, getting Rodgers on top of Eze would be, I just don't know how we could stop the building of a Berta statue at the Emirates if that were to happen. My gut is telling me it doesn't happen, especially because Spurs are desperate and they'll probably try to go for him. But if we did that, I just feel like that would just be ridiculous. That would just be ridiculous. That would just be I would be speechless. Genuinely, I wouldn't know what to say. I think it's more likely that maybe you'll see somebody like a Fofana come in though. Also, I love Rice, but with either Eze or Rodgers charging towards the 18-yard box, defenses will be forced to shift and cover them. Saka might finally be free. One thing I noticed is people are underestimating City. They finished 3rd in their worst season in years. They will win the EPL, unfortunately. Y'all see Eze mural. Was that real? It is real. And it's so nice. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, we talked about who is kind of the underdogs and who's the, front runners for the Prem. And I think without Eze, Arsenal are definitely behind City and Liverpool, but with Eze, we're definitely a lot closer, and we need to see how City play against a non-relegation fodder, but ultimately, it'll probably be us 3 and then maybe Chelsea holding on and trying to keep up, but let's see how things go. Let's definitely see how things go. Um, but City did look good, but I expect them to look good against shit sides because they just have too much attacking quality, really. So yeah, the fact that that Arsenal fan base still can't believe we got Eze shows how much this club failed our brains. I mean, it's just a signing that we just wouldn't have made a couple years ago. Fofana is a great option. He is so good in tight spaces and turning no space into a goal scoring opportunity. We desperately need that. He has the Saka type sauce in his locker. Yeah, Fofana is the one if we can't get the big signing, if you can't get a Rodrigo or a blah blah blah, you go for a young player that could be that. I do think that what people were saying, it's the Due Barcola signing where, they do it for 30, 40 million and then you're wondering why we didn't get involved. He's definitely that, and he's an upgrade on Martinelli. He is an upgrade on Martinelli. And Lord, do we need that? The walls are closing in on Martinelli for sure. He's the to me, he's the big exit on the horizon. I just don't see how he survives another 2 windows. Um as important as he's been to this side, I don't see him surviving another 2 windows. It's January or next summer where he goes, if not this summer. Cannot I just And if he does, then somebody failed us or he became a world-class player overnight. Okay, I found it. What I was looking for. I'll add it state. Let's see. Okay, let me make it bigger. There you go. Okay, so this is what I was trying to show you guys earlier. It's not quite a heat map, but it's the open play touches and the percentage where he takes the majority of his touches. And zone 14 is a big one, which is important. We need more players in zone 14. We have not been able to access zone 14 in a long time. He also, the left half space, this big 10 right here, and then all this space right here on the left. So yeah, he's going to help us access central spaces, and he's also somebody that can do a lot of work because for Crystal Palace, they did a lot of sitting in, and so I'm not surprised to see deeper touches back here where he's probably the outlet and needs to get Crystal Palace up the pitch because he's really good about that as well. He's really good at doing that too. So this is Eze, because I know we were just talking about Fofana, but this is what I was looking for earlier. I'll retweet it for those of you guys who want to see it later. But I just think it's good for context to see where he takes the majority of his touches. Please talk about Antonio Nusa. This kid is the next big thing. We need him. His regen of type Leroy Sané. Are we linked to him at all? I know we're linked to him lightly at one point, but I don't really have much to say about Nusa outside of he needs another season at Leipzig because he missed quite a bit of time with injuries. But he's definitely a player that if we don't get a left wing this summer, maybe we'll look at next summer. He's looks like a really good player. So yeah. But needs another summer. Watching a Fofana comp now, wow, looks awesome. Lyon always have ballers. Like if you want to go find a baller in that French league, go to Lyon. Obviously, you can go to Rennes, you can go to Monaco as well, but Lyon is known for it. And so I would not mind seeing young Fofana come play for us. We already knew Arteta don't rate Martinelli, and when he decided to bid 100 million euros on Mudryk in January. Also, the beautiful thing is if Liverpool go for Rodrigo, we have a free run at Fofana, can help keep the fee reasonable. I really like the fee, and I like the ceiling of the player, or like the potential of the player, because where he is right now, he would improve us. And that says a lot about Martinelli. I can't lie, is that somebody 20 years old coming in the French league probably steps right onto the pitch and makes us better. But if he increases, he gets 10 more percent better, 5 more percent better, we're talking about a little gem, So yeah. Arteta, please, we need more Frenchies. Saliba will be happy as well. The thing is he's not French. Fofana is not French. He's actually Belgian, but he plays in the French league, which, the more you know. I thought he was French for a long time, but he's actually Belgian. Who is Fofana similar to in the EPL? Who is he similar to? Yeah, let me pull up his FB ref. I think I saw Garnacho. The most similar players to Malick Fofana, according to FB ref, are Garnacho, Matoma, Barnes, Pedro Neto, and Nani. So take what you want from that. But I just think that you just need to watch him for yourself and make that connection, because, yeah, there's something there with him where he kind of has all the elements of a really good winger that would do well in the Prem, but you guys have to decide that for yourselves. Pedro Neto, I feel. Barcola. Martinelli is better as a transitional striker on a team that plays mostly counterattack. And Nkunku, he's like prime Nkunku. That's why I want him so bad. Y'all love Nkunku. I remember somebody saying yesterday that if we just get Nkunku, was that you? If we just get Nkunku, I was like, but Nkunku was a different player before he went to Chelsea, which is usually the case. Malick Fofana dribbles with his head up and can pass or shoot in transition. Haven't had that in a long time in the left half space. Why won't Arsenal go get Lyon, Rennes, or one of those French clubs to be a feeder club, a feeder team model like City and Chelsea have? I don't really know. I really don't know why we don't do it, but we really should be. And for people that are wondering, what are the Fofana links? So, because I just kind of said that he was linked to us, but I didn't really say where it came from. I did earlier, but I'll say it again. Arsenal have added Lyon's Malick Fofana to their shortlist and could make a move for the 40 million euro rated forward in the final days of the window. That's coming from L'Equipe, but most importantly, it's coming from a tier 1 Lyon journalist. So, because I know people are like, L'Equipe, but actually L'Equipe were correct on what was happening with Gyökeres. Everything that happened with Gyökeres actually came to fruition. Remember, I did that late night stream and everybody was like, L'Equipe, and I was like, you guys need to look at the journalist and not look at the publication, because the publication has tiers of who's more reliable that actually write for them. Like, some people just look at the Daily Mail and say like, oh, it's the Daily Mail, but depending on who's writing it, it's more likely to be true based on the strength of that person's connections. And essentially the stuff that was coming from L'Equipe about Gyökeres was coming straight from his agent through a Turkish journalist, because I believe Gyökeres' agent is Turkish. So you have to look at the actual journalist writing it. And the journalist writing this stuff about Malick Fofana and Arsenal is a tier 1 Lyon journalist. So I just want to put that out there. And Malick Fofana has turned down a lot of moves this summer because he wants to wait for a Champions League team to come in for him. He was linked to Liverpool and was also linked to Chelsea. So, like somebody said earlier, if Rodrigo ends up going to Liverpool or they focus on him, then we probably have a free run, because I just don't see Bayern being able to beat us to him. I know that Bayern is a huge club. I get that, but I kind of feel like we'd be able to beat them to the punch. But yeah, Malick Fofana, that is a really good under the radar value for money signing in a window where we've already gotten like the top tier signing of Eze. Yeah. Berta, I have one more in me. I have one more in me. Let's see. 7 transfers already looking like a good season. I think Rodrigo, Fofana, and Nkunku all improve us. Nkunku should be our backup plan. Nkunku is an available option that would be quick to sign and complete our team. What's happening here? The tides are changing. What are we talking about Nkunku for? I just said that you guys like him, but you guys keep talking about him. Do you guys actually want Nkunku at Arsenal? You want another Chelsea reject? Another Chelsea reject. I don't want it. I can't do it. My heart does not have another Chelsea reject I don't have it. But Fofana, I have it. I don't have it for Nkunku. He needs to go to RB Leipzig. Imagine signing Nkunku. Also, I feel like because we signed Eze and he is 27, so he's in the prime age. If we brought in another winger, I would love for them to be a little bit younger, and Fofana's 20 instead of Nkunku's like what, 28, 29 or some shit like that. Let's see. Surely somebody in attack has to leave for this to happen. I think so, but there's also a world where Arsenal are ruthless and they bring, they get rid of Fabio and all these other players, and they bring another player in and force players that are there to find new clubs by just bringing in good players on their head top. So, yeah, I mean, Martinelli probably would have to leave, but he can leave this summer, January, because it's, like I said, the walls are closing in on him as we speak. So, yeah, but maybe Martinelli, maybe we have something lined up. Maybe we think somebody's going to come in. So we're lining up something for Fofana to come in or something like that, just in case he does go. Let's see, especially now that Trossard is staying. But listen, guys, my stomach's eating itself. I am starving. So I know our show wasn't as long as it has been, but I feel like we covered everything that we wanted to. If anything happens, I will come back. But make sure you guys like this video and subscribe to the channel on the way out. And we will reconvene tomorrow. I'm so excited for the announcement. But yeah, we'll talk soon, guys. Love y'all. See you guys in the next one. Bye.